this is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevalier. This is to explain the dynamic of pursuit of a relationship by omission of harm, including social harassment, or active participation in such, to impede pursuit of independent income in presence of capacity and skills by assignment of incapacity, disease, or criminal intentions to a person that later on, based on that, is deprived of all belongings or goods and documentation, forced into starvation, deprivation of possibility to obtain housing, and approached for in intention to harm sexual relationships. And that is what happens all the time and is a violation of International Declaration of Rights of Women as well as rights of children in the United States, and then is masked as pursuit of justice. And marriages occurring as a result of those are unwanted and unwarranted in lack of freedom, resulting from sole motivation being an exhaustion offering such as a rudimentary basic needs job in contradiction to physical, educational, and mental capacities of that person. Pending that, pursuit of a person with less education, who in lack of concern in actions for well-being and survival of a person, pursues impediment of such, independently or as a social group, to force later on illegal marriage in lack of perception of being love proven as lack of basic instinct and expectation of such for personal or family gain. The described flip coin of desire that is pursued as sole alternative of urge for self-annihilation or self-defense to prevent harm from imposition of semi-sexual or sexual in accusations or pursuits for degradation while non-pursuing public or leading in desire to children relationship, poses a serious problem and is presented as following dynamic in the model of energy. When there is a couple at fault of not having enough of natural law in mutual desire derived of certainty that both as priority, being adults of opposite gender, pursue one another's well-being only when the other one is in actual need, and life-saving capacities when the other one is not capable of provide of such, which appears usually in appearance of one person and gives priority to others, bases to mutual exclusive romantic love and surges of emotions and physical states associated with perception of willingness in possessive love to have a child denominated sexual desire. And in perception of such pursuit, what's denominated sexual drive, of sexual act always in function of one specific person, to conceive a child in maximum extent in mind and body of human pleasure, called an orgasm that leads to bond and love, and birth of children and such ideation. That is not possible if person is forced out of independence by physical and social harassment and infliction of pain and degradation, by impeding adult independent pursuit of goods, and pursuit of own survival in discrepancy to other persons, to later on as a couple that has no natural law present an alternative of pursuit of sexual relationship instead by a person who demands such, implicated in bodily and psychological harassment, pestering, torture, or in omission of such, which is incapacity because that person loves someone else, to present such a relationship as worthy, but only way to destroy a perception of sense of self-annihilation, and also in resentment of others, sense of being not at ease, in direct relationship of issuing wedding licenses and relationships to gay couples as well as couples who are unable in mind and body to pursue in desire and orgasm, children, sex being intrinsic source of that, and reject based on natural pursuit of protection of self and the other person. All others, which is not an intellectual obligation, but a physical incapacity and lack of knowledge while practicing such type of medicine or law. Are you a murderer? And are you, as a priest, implying that persons are at fault, forced out of a chance to divorce, or faulty of pursuit of a child with a person who wants it as opposed to a person who rejects it? Are you that type of a person? Do you enslave someone? Or did you participate in yet another social deprivation of legal and de facto capacity to provide for self as police, legal system, and medical professionals as well as paramedics, to provide rudimentary basic needs to a person who is superior to you in personal vendetta, to present a person of opposite gender as superior to that person? Did you or did you not? Because if you did, know that any love and desire for you is only derived from pursuit of survival and remediation of active social harassment, omitted as such. Have you watched the videos of Ellen Woolrose? Know that this is not pertinent to my situation as in occurrence but scope of my work. On death row, she, and I quote, said, "Jesus will come and judge you because police by omission forced me to pursue in self-defense protection of an instinct to protect family right to have in desire preferred and most loved always opposite gender person, and who that was only that person knows." And presenting then such as an instinct inherent one to murder or degradation, to kill a person in accusations, pursuing backwards for convenience excuses in lack of capacity to love those persons, to fit into agendas of families and corporations, affording them then for a fee and appreciation from someone else, being in love, dragged up and preventing another in social and psychological as well as physical violence, a childless and miserable existence of a person who simply does not know what it feels to be loved and what it takes to love back. Jesus will come, she said. Jesus, if alive, may be very far away. However, there are persons such as I who possess medical and legal knowledge to know and seek for, in no disregard to harm and murders done, defense as pursuit of freedom from physical and mental unbearable pain, approached in pursuit of unwanted by person's sex, while person has no food, no means to provide for self, and is chastised as dog, in direct occurrence of that happening to animals, and in omission of life as an item, asking for money to deserve life to be alive. And that is what legal system is about. Now it is time to talk about jawohl, jawohl, ich liebe Alkohol. Do you, Pope Francis, read emails and mails? If you did, you need to realize that as behavioral expert, I presented an occurrence of mass murder of priests, nuns, and persons labeled as unable to resist urge to drink alcohol, as opposed to all others in selective way, when there is gain from doing such in elevation of personal importance, or provision in extortion of apologies by such and goods. Do you in your mass appeal that you are and your priest to donate blood, and that drinking is sacred, then promoting such the social habit you present as faulty, genetic, the same as Nazi Germany, and pursue as a source of social intent against person's will, to extort confessions and extort blaming and kill that person, when that person is basically reduced to no longer useful horse, a dog, service one, or a mule. And then he said, take and drink it, for that is my blood. Do you still make your priest drunk, and the others following you as an example pursue alcohol, and then force 12 steps in confessions to have that person, when no longer providing, killed, and in despair unable to divorce, fight for survival? If so, you have blood on your hands. Francis and all of AA workers and persons who pursue death, offering or non-pursuing self-alcohol, and spotting such in others to promote such a source of death and incapacitate that person, or to promote such a source of evil and incapacitate such person when there is no chance, because of what has happened as direct result of masses and the direct result of promotion in mind-brain condition and behavioral modification to pursue such and forbid, instead of sex, a source of child and love, prerequisite being love, being good, and not provision of children against endurance in pain and humiliation. You are guilty not of ignorance as church right now, but you are guilty of intentional murder of victims in ignorance that the smallest ones of mine includes animals, and in distortion of such teachings, obese and drunk, having priests like the one that arrived to examine my mother's house and then committed suicide. Yet another one for unable to have a spouse and a life. It's time for change. Start from yourselves.